Hey, welcome back to Mobile DJ Mixdown episode 2, the podcast where we break down the beats, the gigs, and everything in between. I'm DJ Paul, the guy who has spun more cha-cha slides than an awkward uncle at a wedding. You're either a DJ interested in DJing, or you're on Facebook scrolling and you stumbled across this podcast.
And I'm Yale, I'm a backup DJ, friend, moral supporter, and apparently surprise headline act when the main man himself decides to fly off to sunny Spain.
Oh, we're going there already. Yes, we are going to talk about the time that I left Yale to DJ a bunch of proms whilst I was on the beach sipping sangria.
And I was sweating, but not in the same way that he was. I was trying to figure out how to set up my first DJ set in a bunch of schools on my own.
Without starting a fire.
Barely, though. Barely.
So let's rewind. I'd been DJing for school proms for many years. You know, those end of school discos where the kids dress up like royalty and request nothing but throwback, TikTok bangers and explicit songs.
And I, who just hang along to gigs, never a prom though. I carry speakers up the stairs. I sing the odd karaoke track.
Bad luck.
Debatably.
We've all been there. But then, plot twist, my girlfriend books a holiday to Spain. And I figure, it's just one prom. He'll be fine.
One prom. It ended up to be 3 proms. And let me tell you, there was no panic, like wondering why is the controller not turning on, and he's thousands of miles away.
So let's talk about that first prom. So you pull up to the school in my van, solo, no co-pilot, no backup, just vibes and Google searches on how not to ruin a prom.
Well, hold on a second. I think we can have a bit less of the Google searches. I had enough confidence in myself that I think I could make it work. But yeah, there was definitely nerves. I think there always is.
Mhm.
I think even when I come along with yourself and you ask me to do 5 or 10 minutes, there's still the nerves. As someone that doesn't solely do DJing as a career, it's always nerve-wracking. But yeah, I pulled up at school. Obviously, I had a bit of a reputation to follow because obviously, as you've mentioned, you've you've done them for years. So I had a bit of a, as I say, a reputation to follow. They kind of knew the crack. They knew what they were going to get. Being different.
Well, that's actually quite funny because when they rebooked the prom for the following year, the head teacher said, "Is it you this year, or is it going to be Yale?" I was like, "Yeah,
what can I say?
It's me.
I made an impression. What can I say?"
But yeah, my mum, obviously who works at the school, actually sent me a picture of you, and you look so nervous.
Um, I think that's because I was. I mean, there was definitely moments where I could see like the other teachers, like looking over at me with like fear in my eyes, and they're probably just looking at me like, "Is this guy about to start a fire in the school or something?" Like, yeah. So it was definitely nerve wracking, and as I've kind of mentioned, you being thousands and thousands of miles away, it's not really something that if it goes drastically wrong, I can't ask you to drive down 10 minutes down the road. You're thousands of miles away, and I've just got to do it. I've got to figure it out, and I've got to make a way of making it work.
Well, to be fair, in one of the pictures that I was sent, and you're there, you look like a rock star holding this microphone. And I think that was probably the first time you spoke down the microphone, because you'd never spoke down the microphone when you've been on a gig with me. So I got this picture of you holding this microphone, looking like a rock star, and I thought, you're either smashing it or you're going to swear down that microphone in a minute, and we're going to be bored from all the schools.
Well, luckily I did try and keep it PG for when we were at the proms. Although actually, I say I tried to keep it PG, and I was on the first prom that I did.
Yeah.
I think it was for your sister-in-law, Michaela. I think it was for her school.
Yeah.
And you'd set me this playlist, and you said, right, just do this playlist, just mix in and out of these different songs. And I think there's a song by Little Mix.
Yeah.
Break up with my ex or something.
Shout out to my ex.
Shout out to my ex. There you go. And in that song, there's a lyric that goes, "I hope she gives you better sex." I mean, we might have to bleep that out. We'll keep it in. Okay, that's
There's nothing wrong with sex.
okay.
Unless it's in a school, then
yeah, then
don't do that in a school.
It's not good. But yeah, there was that.
You're playing songs with sex in, not like having sex in schools. Yeah.
Oh,
we don't.
God.
It's turned. We've gone down that road.
Waffling.
Episode 2.
But yeah, no, there was this moment where that lyric was played, and me and your sister-in-law kind of like in sync, like we were just completely synchronized, just kind of like went and like looked at each other of like pure shock. And I wasn't expecting it because you being a DJ, like I was expecting you to know all of your songs and everything like that. So. And yeah, I just wasn't expecting it. So very quickly faded one into the other, made a little mix out of it, and yeah, it was entertaining, shall I say? And we kind of like both looked at each other and was like, "Has anyone else noticed?" And I think we were the only two. So
well that's the thing with the music that DJs have. There's always the radio version,
and
then the studio released version. Often the studio release version tends to have swearing in. And I know, like we mentioned it you didn't mention it. Me and Margaret mentioned it in episode 1 about Master Mix. So all the music from Master Mix are all swear word free, basically, right? There's probably a proper word for that, but it's gone from my head. And then I remember I did a gig actually here at the Keepers for New Year's Eve, and as it chimed midnight, a few songs in after Old Lang Syne. I played Baseline Junker.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise that I'd played there's not a clean version to Baseline Junkie, but there's a version that takes out all the swear word.
Yeah.
So I'm playing that here, it's over 18s only. And I've just got people looking up at me going, "We're not kids." And I was like, it's the edited version. I still don't understand why that song has a clean version, because Baseline Junkie is not a clean song, you know.
No, it's definitely not.
And the release of
one of my favourite songs for a night out.
It goes down well.
Party mood.
It goes down well. And 9 times out of 10, I'll get asked for it.
Yeah.
And it goes down really well. Like I said, everyone was just looking up at me, and I was like, "I'm so sorry." And one of my family members were here and said, "Oh, does Paul think we're all kids or something?" And I was like, "No, I won't play this for kids. I won't play this at school."
No.
But it happens. We do play the wrong version sometimes. And I think that's kind of taught me a little bit more for the recent proms and upcoming proms to check that music to make sure, because yes, we know the kids listen to that at home. We know the kids will listen to that on YouTube and Spotify, but it's not acceptable in a school.
Yeah.
And when all the kids are singing along to it, top of the voices and the swear words in it, the teachers look at it as gone rotten. So we try and just keep it clean anyway.
Yeah.
But real talk, after I'd come back from holiday, you were more confident in what you were doing. And I know it was that from gigs when you'd come with me after the proms, you were more confident in what you were doing, and you were more like pushing me off. "I've got this, I've got this," and I was like, "Hang on a minute, you're going to take over my job."
Yeah, I think it was definitely like a full DJ evolution kind of thing. Like I started off as this guy, this roadie, the guy that helps you out with kit, setting up, maybe doing the occasional 5 or 10 minutes while you were nipping off to go toilet or buy a round of drinks or something. And I've never massively been an overconfident guy in talking. And one thing that I do want to mention is that I think one of the things that help you get over that kind of stage fright is performing arts and drama. And at school, I did performing arts in secondary school. Never took it any further than secondary school, but I did do it there. But I think performing arts and drama itself is actually something that's quite underrated, because it actually helps you in all aspects of life. because the way that I look at it is that performing arts and drama, it's teaching you to get up on that stage, and it is teaching you to perform to your audience. And everything that people do in life, whether you're a CEO of a massive company and you need to give a speech, you are performing to that crowd. Whether you are secretary of a football club, like myself, for Clarendon Park, which is the badge that I'm wearing today, we've just had our awards night, and I know every single one of the footballers really, really well. A lot of them are really close friends, but even so, I was nervous to get up on stage and do that end of awards night and do the speech and give out the little awards. And it went down a treat, and it went down really, really well. But that performing arts and drama was all to thank for that, because it did set me up, and just basic like life skills and having a conversation with someone, interacting with someone. That's all comes, and it all stems from that performing arts and that drama kind of thing. And as I kind of say, it's underrated by so many people, and everyone think, oh well, you're going to go to do performing arts, you're going to do drama, you're going to become the next Angelina Jolie, or who's a male artist? Go on.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. There you go. My mind went blank for a second. But
I don't know why Daniel Craig come to my mind.
James Bond.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's not teaching you to be that next person. It's not teaching you to be the next Hollywood star. It's actually just giving you basic life skills. And I will always have that to thank. And my old performing arts teacher, maybe a little bit controversial, but he always used to say, if you ever get scared, just imagine everyone's naked. And it's kind of what I did. But yeah, it's
when your drama teacher comes on stage and says, I'm really nervous, I'm really scared, and he just looks at all of you students, that's when you're going to start worrying.
Oh dear. Oh, we went there.
Yeah. This is how these episodes turn out now.
Yeah.
There's always a laugh and a joke in there.
And a bit of controversy. You've got to be controversial in life.
I also did drama at GCSE. I did it at A level and degree level, and obviously went into teaching with it. And I think that was one of the main things that I always tried to push out as well, that I wasn't teaching them to be the next Shakespearean actor. I wasn't teaching them to be the next, big Hollywood star. It was purely teaching students how to be human at the end of the day, and how to communicate, how to understand other people, how to engage in conversation. And obviously you do it through the form of drama, and it was through the form of teamwork and everything else that drama was about.
Performing,
yeah.
People.
And that was the main thing. And obviously that helped me with my DJ career, that I had these confidence skills from my drama lessons that I could transfer into my job.
Yeah, and it goes, as I say, way back to when I was in secondary school, and I was taught all of these skills that you've just described. And you kind of unconsciously go back to that and remember what you've been taught. And I've very much got that to thank when it came down to those proms. And I was a person that had never spoke in a microphone before, other than karaoke, which is slightly different, because karaoke, everyone's on the same wavelength for karaoke.
We've all had a few beers.
Yeah, we've all had a few beers, but also you are going to be as good as the next person. And people might think that you're crap. You might think other people are crap. But we're all on the same page there. There's no expectations with karaoke. So other than karaoke, I hadn't picked up a microphone and I hadn't started talking. And it wasn't until I was completely on my own where I had no choice but to talk. When it came to things like announcing that the food was ready, or at the end of the night, and I was saying, thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your prom, etc., etc., etc. I had no choice but to speak. And as I say, it came back to those life skills that I gained when I was in performing arts and drama. And I had that to thank.
I remember the first time I spoke down a microphone. I'd already done a few little kind of family gigs where it was just playing music. But the first time I spoke down a microphone, it was for somebody's birthday party. And I mean, the whole party was a mess. It was a shambles. I was probably tagged as the worst DJ going.
Still are.
Oh, cheers. Many people agree. I agree. But so I remember it clearly that my mum was there. She'd obviously, because my dad used to drive to the gigs, and obviously stay. My mum would come to this one. I think my mum had actually known whose birthday it was as well. So someone from behind the bar came up to me and said, "Can you just announce that there's no smoking in the toilets?" Right. And I was so nervous. So I had to kind of like, my mum was on stage with me. I'm like, "Can you announce it?" She said, "No, you do it." I was like, "I can't do it." She said, "What you're going to have to do. This is your job. This is what you want to do." Obviously, I was young. I was about 13, 14. So it was like, oh, so literally, I grabbed this microphone and I went, "No smoking in the toilets," and then put it down. And that was the first thing I ever said down a microphone. But I've got into this nasty habit now, and I noticed that I do it. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, and you will now. I've mentioned it. But whenever I talk down the microphone, I always go, that was, or
Yeah, I've noticed that for years.
And I know I do it, but I think part of me it's like a sneaky way to test that microphone.
Yeah.
And then I go into it, but it's like even like calling people up for karaoke. Come on up then, or it's like when I'm announcing a song. That was Billy Ocean, and it's always like always, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to get out of it. So if any of the DJs are watching this, let me know how to get out of that. But yeah, microphone skills take a little bit of time, and you were thrown in the deep end with that.
Yeah, and thrown in the deep end, that was a bit of an understatement. Because it wasn't like you were there and I was just talking.
Yeah.
You were thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
So it was good, and I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I came over those fears. And it was fears that I couldn't really do anything to help with. One of when I've DJed and stuff in the past for Paul whilst he's gone out and things like that, I'm not the main DJ, so I'll have a couple of drinks, and the thing that helped me get over those fears are a couple of beers. That's a great name, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Fears for beers.
Beers
for
fears. Yeah.
Beers for fears.
There we go.
Episode 2. Beers for fears. But yeah, normally, as I say, like when I'm just covering for you, doing the odd 5-10 minutes, I'll have a couple of beers and I'll feel a bit more confident. I'll be more confident in what I'm doing. That liquid alcohol kind of makes everyone a bit more confident. I think we all can agree on that. But you can't do that in a school.
Yeah, that's stripped away. So you've not got this kind of safety net as you're describing.
You haven't got that liquid courage.
Liquid courage.
And that's what I'm going to call it, because everyone knows that they get a bit more courage when they have had a few beers inside them. Or vodkas, or
I think that's kind of like...
in his case.
Oh, no, I just get given them. Okay. But I think that it is a kind of other important topic to talk about alcohol and DJing, because yes, they both do kind of. A lot of people think they fit hand in hand, and I've often seen these memes on Facebook. I don't know what the guy is, but it says, "Oh, nobody can drink and work," and then the guy's there holding his glass, going, "Well, I'm a DJ," and I've been there. I've had a few beers. Luckily, my residential gig is a 5-minute walk from my house. So if I've had a few too many, I can walk home, which I will do. But like New Year's Eve, the most important night of the year, I won't touch a drop until midnight, because come midnight, I'm probably the only person in the room that's working, because everybody else, we shut the bars off and everyone else comes out. They see the new year in. I'm the only one that's got to be red hot with that timing.
Yeah. In
order to get it accurate. So I won't drink until after midnight on New Year's Eve, which is completely fine. And to be fair, there's a lot of gigs that I do where I won't drink. Not how I used to. I used to have a few drinks and obviously go collect the stuff the next morning and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But then from a business point of view, you're drinking, you're getting a taxi home, taxi back there in the morning to pick your equipment up. From a business point of view, you're losing out on the money on the taxes. And it's so important for especially new and upcoming DJs, whether it's mobile DJing or club DJing, that as much as you can imagine that alcohol being a friend and that safety net, which it can be used for that, and I have used it as that, it can get out of hand as DJing. I know a fair few DJs that DJ in town that drink far too much and make their way home not the safest way, should we say. You know what I mean? You can work that one out. And it's important to know that as anyone who's starting up DJing, forget about the beer. Take bottles of water, cold bottles of water. Ask the bar for water and squash, coffee. I actually feel really bad when I go into new venues because you've probably seen this. I always go up. Yeah, I always go up to the bar and I feel like a wallet because everyone else is drinking, everyone's having a good time, and I go in there and I'm like, "Can I have a coffee, please?" And they looked at me going out because they've got to now boil the kettle and they've got to wait for the kettle to boil.
Right? I think it's quite funny as well when I come along with you and you go in, you say, "Right, I'm going to the bar to get a drink. Do you want anything?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll have a pint of Guinness, please." And then you walk up to the bar and you go, "Can I have a coffee and a pint of Guinness?"
Yeah.
Like the two things that just don't go well together. You asking.
They do the Guinness cold brew. That's coffee and Guinness. Guinness? They do it. They do it. They did it in Tesco.
Guinness cold.
Yeah, Guinness cold brew. It's Guinness with like an espresso in it.
Oh.
They do it. They sell it in cans in Tesco. Or you can walk into a bar if you've got the balls to say, "I want a pint of Guinness and I want an espresso." So you can annoy them with both and tip it into there.
Let us know in the comments, guys.
Yeah.
If you've ever had a Guinness
cold brew.
Guinness cold brew. If you've ever had one, let us know in the comments. Let us know what it's like.
You can sit at home and literally pour a cup of coffee and pour a black coffee into it.
I'm definitely going to try that. I've genuinely got some Guinness at home. I'm going to try that when I get back.
It's not too bad.
But yeah, I think it's all about knowing your limits, really. Obviously, different people can drink different amounts. Not saying that how you get home is, drink 5 pints, but I'm still okay to drive home.
5 and drive, as the saying goes.
Yeah, as the saying goes. I'm not saying do that, but I think it's all about knowing your limits. If you know that you can have a few pints and still do your job professionally, I don't think anyone would be against that. I think it's when you start doing your job and having a few drinks and you're a bit of a lightweight, shall we say, and you start not doing your job properly and you're mumbling when you're talking and things like that. I think that's when it's frowned upon. And I've seen, like yourself, I've seen too many videos of DJs where it's gone wrong because they've had too much alcohol to drink and things like that.
I've had people say to me that they've booked a DJ that has been more interested in drinking than DJing, and they've spent more time at the bar and they've drank far too much to the point they didn't know what they were doing. But then again, I don't know if you know about this, there was a night in here and one of our regulars that comes in called Maureen, she's absolutely lovely. She's a little old lady. She won't mind me saying that because she is a little old lady, right? And she looked sweet and innocent, right? And she come up to me and she went, "Paul, would you like a drink?" And I said, "Oh, I'll have what you're having." And she went, "I'm on double vodka and lemonade." I said, "I'll have one of them then," right? And she comes up to me, and when I mean little old lady, she is your typical grey hair, little old lady that comes up, really sweet and innocent, right? She gives me the double vodka and lemonade, and she says, "Every time I go to the bar, I'll get you a drink." And she was the one that booked me for this gig here. So it was a christening. She'd booked me for a great-granddaughter's christening. Right? Yeah. So she booked me, she paid for me. She said, "Oh, do you want to drink?" Yeah. So every time she went to the bar, she brought me a double vodka and lemonade. I didn't realise that she drank like a sailor. She drank.
I know where this is going.
Loads. So every time she has gone to the bar and got herself a drink, she'll get me one. I was like, "You don't have to, it's very kind." And she actually said to me, "I've paid you. I want you to have these drinks." She was, "Oh, okay." So I'm drinking, which I don't do. Now, I have done. But everything's went out the window. And to the point, I can't remember what I played for the rest of the night. However, when I came in the next day, and the regulars that were here having breakfast and whatnot were saying, "Paul, you were amazing last night." And I was like, I can't remember what had happened. I can't remember what I'd played. I had to look back at the set list to go, what did I play, and figure out what I played. And as much as that was a really good night for me, I felt terrible because part of me was like, yeah, she paid me, she was the one buying me drinks and whatever. Everyone had a good night. But then I was like, I provided a professional service I can't remember providing. So I kind of felt a bit terrible about that. I mean, she absolutely loved it, and
that's the main thing.
You know,
really.
yeah,
As long as everyone was happy.
but that's what I mean. I live 5 minutes from here, so it was a case of I could walk home, leave my stuff. I have to come back early hours in the morning to pack
And you know the
everything
landlady
away.
really well.
Oh,
so
yeah,
she's pretty
Yeah, cool.
flexible.
But yeah, remember the time when we got the train to Melton, right? To Melton Mowbray, home of the pork pies. Right? Yeah. And we went in. We'll name the bar. So
I know exactly what you're about
we-
to say.
we went in to this bar called the White Lion. Right, great little bar at the time. It was a great. I say great little bar. It was one of these kind of like pubs that is a pub during the day, but then it's a nightclub at night, and it's a sort of one where your feet stick to the floor and you wipe your feet on the way out.
On the way out.
Yeah. That's the one. But it was a great little bar, and obviously I knew Cole, who was one of the DJs and assistant manager there.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of my friends were there. But I remember the DJ in there was how can we put it? Wasn't the friendliest person.
Arrogant arsehole.
Yeah, we can say that.
We're not mentioning him, so it's fine. It could be any DJ that's ever.
There's been loads of DJs there. Yeah, of course. But I remember the
process of elimination. You work it out.
Yeah, if the shoes fit.
Yeah.
So I remember.
Needs to be big shoes.
Yeah. I remember that night, the landlord was telling this DJ off, saying, "Go easy on the smoke for 2 reasons. One, it costs me money, and 2, you're using far too much." Right?
He was a very trigger-happy smoker.
Yes. So I remember this conversation.
I think it hid the fact that he was vaping behind the DJ booth as well.
Probably, yeah.
I think the fact that he had the smoke machine going, and this was when vapes were just beginning to come out.
Yeah.
And he had the smoke machine on, and you could definitely see him going.
Yeah. But then
smoke would just cover it.
I mean, he hardly spent time behind the DJ booth.
Well, that was the other thing.
But then when we had this conversation,
who has used auto mix,
auto
mix.
Yeah,
I'm not a regular DJ, so I don't know. A man who's used that more than what am I thinking? Who am I thinking of?
More than we've had hot dinners. How about that?
Okay, we'll go more than we've had hot dinners.
But so anyway, so I remember him being told off by the boss that obviously don't use a smoke machine. I paid for that one. Blah blah blah. Go easy on it. You're gonna set the alarms off, right?
Yeah.
So at this moment, we were
light bulb moment. We were both sat by the bar as well,
and we were. I mean, we still are immature when we're together.
Yeah.
We're mature for this video ish. So I knew what smoke machine they used because I DJ'd there a few times for them.
Yeah.
And I said to you, if you lean over the front of the booth,
there's 2 buttons.
Click the one on our left.
I remember it being a green button.
Yeah.
That I definitely do remember. It was a green button.
But you had the burst, so when you hold it, and as soon as you let go, it stopped.
Yeah.
But then you had the continuous button, which when you press it, it clicks in.
Yeah.
And I said to you, press the continuous button.
Yeah. All I remember was a green one.
Right. That's how mature we are. Press the red button and we'll run.
Green. It was green.
Green, red. So we ran upstairs where the toilet, a bit like a Witherspoons when the toilets are upstairs.
Yeah.
So we go upstairs, we're having a wee. And next thing you know, the alarms are going off. Right. So we've then left the toilets upstairs, and as we've opened the door, the smoke more or less bellowed in.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Literally, if your hand was 4 inches in front of you, you would struggle to see it.
But as we got down, it was so bad.
Yeah.
The boss was saying, "You've set the alarms off upstairs. I've just told you." So he was getting a right bollocking, and we're there pissing ourselves.
Yeah,
laughing.
we were laughing so hard, but he couldn't see us laughing.
Yeah.
All this smoke.
I could see you laughing. I could hear you laughing.
Yeah. And all you could you couldn't even see the owner of the pub having a go at the DJ because it was that thick.
It was thick. It was very funny.
I remember what was his name? Joe. Was it Joe? The owner of the pub.
Simon.
No, who was in charge that night?
Cole.
That was it. not Joe, Cole. I remember Cole going and opening all the doors, all the windows, and this wasn't a warm night either. Like I'm sure this was like in the middle of the Christmas season. Or
It
something.
probably was.
I'm sure it was like early January or late November time. It must have been sometime out of that. But he was opening all the windows, all the doors, and yeah, that was really quite funny. But again, it's all about having a laugh, really, isn't it?
I think it was
mature
now. We wouldn't do that now.
I mean,
it
depends. If he was DJing again, I would do it again.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, let's go on to these quick round questions. We have got notes on the laptop, so I know what questions to ask you. So when DJing, whether it's covering a prom, going on solo, or covering me for 5-10 minutes whilst I nip for a week, what is your favourite song to play?
Oh, now you're testing me. It's a bit of an end of the night song, but I really like Proud Mary.
What was your first technical fail?
Are we talking proms or in general?
The first one you remember.
The first one that comes to head right now would be when on that first prom night when I hadn't plugged the hard drive in. Basically, that's the long and short of the story. I couldn't get. You had your set that you'd given me, and it was on the laptop, and it was already queued on the laptop, but it wasn't downloaded to the laptop. The tracks wasn't on the laptop. Oh. So when I set everything up, the little hard drive that's like this big, probably no bigger than the palm of your hand, that was inside the box, well, the flight case for the mixer, I hadn't pulled it out, basically, and I hadn't plugged it in. So I started the DJ set, and some of the songs were on the laptop. Some of the songs worked really, really well. But then some of them, it kind of like, if you've got no signal when you're on Spotify and you're streaming a song, it just goes silent. What's going on? What's going on? Anyway, but luckily this all happened whilst I was testing it. And I managed to FaceTime you, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's got like little symbols next to this. And the moment you noticed the symbols, you were like, you've not plugged the hard drive in.
Yeah, put the hard drive in.
You told me exactly where the flight case was. Yeah. That's the first one that I can remember being my first technical fault. And I was just like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. But
okay, then. So at these proms, what was the first track or request you ignored?
It was the craze when Baby Shark was going around.
Yeah.
It was again at one of the proms.
I used to apologise to the teachers when I played that. Sorry.
And yeah, it was requested by many, many students, and I was like, oh yeah, I did the old excuse, let me see if I've got it, and I've not got it on my album, I'm sorry. And most of the kids were okay about it. But yeah, so I'd have to say Baby Shark.
Okay, so what's the worst track you've ever played? We've all done it when we've done a track that doesn't work, or it just grinds our teeth that we can't stand it, but you play it in the crowd.
I'm gonna have to double down onto the previous question, Baby Shark.
If you could book one artist for a house party, dead or alive, who would it be?
Probably a personal favourite of mine. I'd have to say Scooter. Nice. It's not an artist, it's more of a band, but I'd have to say Scooter. I like their songs, Logical Song, Mary, Jumping All Over the World. Like I love that kind of music, and the up, and it's a good party pleaser. So if it was a house party, Scooter would have to be there. I think it'd be closely followed by Pitbull, but I think Scooter would probably just pip into it. But
what is the biggest ego moment you've witnessed from me?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
My head's just kind of gone, way.
I think you were at the cab, and you ended up singing karaoke with the lead singer from that band? What was the band?
Foundations.
Yeah, you know what I'm on about.
Yeah.
When you sang with him.
Build Me Up Buttercup.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember. What's his name?
Hugh Montgomery.
That's the one.
Who now lives in Leicestershire. It came in obviously has to sing on karaoke, and he has to sing "Build Me Up Buttercup,"
Yeah.
and I said I've just queued it for myself.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, that's okay. Sing it with me if you want." And I did. And obviously, I kind of had a rough idea who he was, and it was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, that was quite. There's a video somewhere of that.
Yeah, there's a video, and I also think like you didn't know exactly who he was.
Yeah.
Like we were because I was helping you that night. And we were doing karaoke. And we kind of like we said, "Oh right, this guy's a really good singer," and it wasn't until one of the punters then came back and they said, "You do realise you've just sung with Hugh, whatever his name is.
Montgomery.
Hugh Montgomery."
Yeah.
I'm awful with names. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, would you rather scratch badly in front of a crowd or play Baby Shark in front of a full pub?
Oh no, why is Baby Shark keep coming up? I would say scratch badly. I think you can get away with a bit of bad scratching. I think everyone knows you're a DJ. You're not a world-renowned, famous DJ, so you don't have to be that good at it. So I'm going to say scratch badly.
And then last question. What song instantly gets you in the party mood?
Wow, that's a tough one.
It is.
That's a real tough one. I don't know, actually. There's so many. Ceiling Can't Hold Us by Macklemore. Is it Macklemore? I think it's Macklemore.
Yeah,
isn't it? Macklemore and someone else.
As DJs, we can't remember every song, but we get good.
But
I think
that's a good party good.
I think that leads on to a good point. I think we were talking about this the other week, that when you come along and you cover for 5 minutes and I go off, and you kind of change the setup a little bit, and you bring in these songs, because I'm into all older music. I'm like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, bit of the 90s sort of stuff. That's my sort of music that I DJ with, and that I like. And then it's like you come along and you play these songs that I've either heard before, some I haven't heard before, but they're brilliant songs. And I've kind of gone, oh yeah, looked at what it was, and I've added them songs into my set.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same with you when you've come along with me and you've kind of gone, oh, that's a really good song, and you kind of talk to that artist or talk to that band, and and you've got, yeah, that's really good. And I think that's the way of learning, is that when you do come and you play these songs that I've never heard of or not familiar with, I learn from that, which is not why I have you with me, but you help me a lot when you do that 5 or 10 minutes and you bring your own music into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
every day is a school day, isn't it?
This will make you laugh. Hand on my heart. I had someone a few weeks ago come up to me and ask for end ups. Right. I was like, yeah.
I have no idea who they are.
I know who end ups are.
But you'll have no idea what music will go down well from end ups.
The only song I sort of remember from end ups, and other DJs might kind of go, was Waving Flag. Because they did that for
the World Cup.
The World Cup? Yeah, they did that for the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I remember that song, because that was massive when I was in school. It was a massive, massive hit. So I remember that. And then I remember, I think it was Playing With Fire or something like that. But I wasn't really ever into end ups.
No.
So someone comes up to me and says, oh, you got end ups? I'm like, yeah, I've got some end ups. So what I did, I had to go onto Spotify. I didn't play it through Spotify, but I go onto Spotify, and I type in end ups, scroll down, this is end ups, and I look at the most popular songs.
Yeah.
And then have a quick listen. Oh yeah, Playing With Fire. Yeah, that'll go well. Girls. Yeah, that's what I mean. So I have a quick listen. Yeah, so it's stuff like that, and that's how you learn. Oh yeah, this is a good song.
I've actually saw them live,
Nice. This is a good song. The crowd is obviously reacting to it rather well. It's all about learning. Yeah. So that is it from this episode of Mobile DJ Mixdown. The episode is called
Beers for Fizz?
Beers for Fizz. Fears for Beers. We'll put it in the titles.
Yeah, it'll be in the titles.
It'll be in the titles.
I can't remember what we said. Memory like a goldfish, shall we say?
I thought it was Memory Like a Monkey.
Not sure.
I'm joking. It's memory like a fish.
Memory like a fish.
Yeah, so join us on our next episode where we will be talking to another Leicester DJ. I'm not too sure who it's going to be yet. I've got a waiting list of DJs. It will either be
Mr. Popular over here.
Well, not quite. So yeah, join us next week where we talk about more stories about probably disastrous events or creating events. So one of the DJs will talk about events that we've kind of been to and that have kind of gone wrong and kind of not gone wrong, but disaster stories about DJing and stuff like that. Not on our part, on audience parts, like when we've had women throw knickers at us and we've had men throw chairs at the DJ booth, stuff like that, which has actually happened. Yeah. And then the other guest, which will be on soon, we'll be talking about, he's only 19. He'll be talking about the first event that he created all on his own and did a full 90s night and ran this whole event. So yeah, there's 2 DJs definitely lined up. One of them will be on next episode and the other will be on the episode after that. Thanks for joining us. The full version of this will be available on Spotify as soon as we've sorted it all out. Thanks for tuning in. Anything else to say?
Good night.
Good night from him.
It's good night from me.
You get it?
I think. But I think it was supposed to be the other way around, though, wasn't it?
It probably was, yeah. The 2 Ronnies. Ta-ra!